All right.
Quite loud.
All right. Well, welcome to our August Green Bay Sustainability Commission meeting. We'll start with some roll call. Krista Kananen, present. Ned Dorr.
Present.
Thanks for being here. Alder Presley.
Present.
Thanks for being here. Julia Nordyke is excused. Jenny Brinker. Here. Thanks for being here. Amy Cox.
Here.
Thanks for being here. Mark Walters excused and Daniela will be late. We also have a new member. We had some switch outs since our last meeting. So Corey took a new position outside of city government. So we have a new staff liaison member. And I'll let you introduce yourself and say present.
So Maria Otto, the coordinator for the Conservation Corps in the Parks Department. Know a lot of you, have been to some of these meetings, and I'm present.
Perfect. Thanks for being here and welcome to the commission. All right, first up on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make any motions about the agenda? We have a motion from Alder Presley. Any seconds?
I can second.
Thank you, Jenny. Any discussion on the agenda today? All in favor of approving? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So approved. Next up, we have approval of our July meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alder Presley. Any seconds? I'll second. Any discussion about the minutes from last month? All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved. Ooh, guys, this one might be short and sweet. We're already to E in our agenda. Very exciting. Okay. Upcoming events and news, for which I believe I'll be turning the floor over to Melissa, the lovely Melissa. I was trying to think of a cute name for your role. I got stuck.
The staff liaison.
Staff liaison. So then wait. So, but like non-voting staff
Right,
liaison?
so it'd be staff liaison because I coordinate
Yeah,
the agenda with you and
Yep.
the meetings, and then anything that's
Versus-
referred to staff, then I either work on or find other staff to work on that stuff with me.
so Maria's role is not called staff liaison,
No, she's a voting staff member.
voting staff member.
Yeah, she's a,
The title there.
yeah.
Voting staff member.
Voting
Okay,
staff member.
thanks for clarifying.
Mhm.
I understand the distinction and responsibilities, not titles. Thank you. Now I know. Staff liaison.
Yeah, so under upcoming events and news, the announcement section is, you know, you need to submit those things in advance, so I put some things together. The mosquito challenge buckets were handed out in 1.5 hours. Thank you to Green Bay Conservation Corps and Maria Otto for organizing this initiative. There was a very positive response. Probably could have made more buckets, but this I think is just something that we could build on, that potentially. And the Green Bay Conservation Partners Steering Committee is holding a fall field trip, which should be held on September 17th. September 17th in the village of Wrightstown. The registration is free, but you do need to register in advance. There's links in the agenda and in the packet for members of the public that are interested or members of this commission. On September 6th, the Northeast Wisconsin Land Trust is having its annual donor appreciation event called Land Fest, and it's being held at Wequiak Creek Natural Area. Everyone is invited. They're looking for volunteers. Also, link is in the agenda. The East River Collaborative is hosting a green stormwater infrastructure field tour October 2nd. which is a Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. Registration link is in the agenda. Myself and a couple of others from Public Works have a couple of sites that we are for stops in the field tour, so we'll be participating in that. Also the same day, October 2nd, the Connect the Bay project, which is a major restoration planning project going on right now. Will also be held on October 2nd from 4 to 6:30 p.m. at the Paradise North Distillery. It's a public outreach event. We'll have mock-ups of some of the conceptual 60% design. And we also have an online survey. We'll walk people out to have a viewpoint from Renard Island, so the whole area of where the restoration is planned. So keep those dates in mind. That's all I had for announcements.
Excellent, thanks for all of those. I did try registering for the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Tour.
It is not up and running yet. I
Yeah,
bet.
so I was just gonna
I will
say,
give that.
I did the
feedback-
same thing.
I put it on my calendar,
Okay.
but registration doesn't appear to be live yet.
I will give that feedback to the East River Collaborative.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Excellent, thanks for your announcements.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Just go back, Pat. I got a little ahead of myself. Just- That's all right. You can keep going. with
Anyone
your
want to give a
motion.
second to that?
I can second that.
Great, thank you. That was Jenny. Any discussion on these announcements? All in favor of receiving them and placing them on file? Aye.
Hey.
Any opposed? All right, so filed. Next up, we are on to informational reports. First is from our Clean Energy Work Group.
Thank you, Krista. Krista and I are the Clean Energy Work Group co-members. And we just want to present the results of the Large Energy Users Roundtable that has met a few times over the past several months. Just a reminder, there's some background information about the Clean Energy Plan that was adopted by the city. And the reason we pulled together a Large Energy Users Roundtable was because 72% of the city's carbon emissions come from commercial and industrial buildings. So the Clean Energy Work Group that we pulled together some stakeholders that make up a lot of these contributors to that 72%, or they at least have a strong role with those folks. So you can see who we brought together, which was a really great group of people from Oneida, NWTC, UWGB, New North, Focus on Energy, and WPS. And we met in October, February, and June at NWTC at the Energy Center and put our heads together to think of ways we could engage commercial and industrial facilities in the city limits and in Oneida to reduce that 72% of carbon emissions. So we came up with a lot of great ideas and resources, which are tracked in the outcomes document that is part of the packet. And if you want to take a little time, I'm not going to read it all to you, but I think a really great thing to focus on are the outcomes. So, one of the things that we are doing as a work group is making sure that there's a way to track emissions. And I know that Melissa has some software and other things that the city is using. But we also looked at ways that we could track just this 72%, right? You think of all the businesses and industry in the city, it's kind of hard. Some are closing, some are opening, some are expanding. So how do you normalize that data and track it? And when I mean normalize, it has to do with that expansion and contraction of businesses, right? How do you track that? We can get data, and we do get data from WPS that is a very large aggregate of residential, non-residential.
And that's the only distinction. It's not small commercial,
Mm-mm.
medium size, and then you're really like big, heavy hitter, industrial customers, so.
And they're very firm on that
Correct.
distinction. They're not willing to disaggregate any further
Right.
than that.
Yes.
Or
And-
even like multifamily is broken out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, there's not a lot of distinction, no neighborhood distinctions or anything like that. And it's broken down by electricity and natural gas consumption. But the nice thing is the clean energy plan does give us some metrics to potentially normalize it, like the number of businesses. And anyways, we could kind of track it according to energy use or carbon emissions per number of businesses in the city. So we as a group kind of recognize that. We also discussed, are there opportunities to engage cities like the city of Milwaukee has done, to engage our commercial and industrial customers, maybe in benchmarking their energy use. With Energy Star Portfolio Manager, it's a free online tool. It's actually beneficial to businesses to track their energy use because that often leads to ideas to save energy. So other cities like the city of Milwaukee are doing that, and Dane County, and that's a way that they are getting more granular information about these carbon emissions. In our city, the feedback from our stakeholders was that they really didn't have an appetite to, kind of ask that of our commercial and industrial customers in the city, which we understand.
Yeah, they didn't necessarily want to lead or be the face of it or be an intermediary.
You mean to like encourage more benchmarking?
Correct.
Yeah.
That was
Basically
something they didn't
anything.
want to push.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
They
they
thought
did,
it was a good idea. They liked the idea, but they
Yeah.
really wanted to come from the city.
they understand the reasoning for it. So there's that. And then, let me just see it. Some of my bullet points. I'm trying to think if there's anything related to that. They'll still provide the aggregated data. There may be opportunities to engage local colleges and universities. Oh, this is something I wanted to point out. We had some help with Kayla at UWGB this past semester, the spring semester of this year, and she did some work, with the city's Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So we explored ideas to potentially use college students if there is an effort when it comes to continuing to track these things, even if it's a big aggregate chunk of data.
Sure.
It's something that they may be able to help with. Okay, engaging the business community. So there are existing efforts and resources available to large energy users in the community. If you all didn't know, and Amy Cox is on our commission, there is an industrial assessment center through NWTC, and Amy Cox is the dean of trades there. So there's an opportunity for industrial commercial. I think they're focusing on medium size to get an energy audits through this industrial assessment center, and they also provide energy education resources. So that's kind of new and good to know about. We all should know about Focus on Energy, the statewide energy program. And then WPS has some energy efficiency services. One brand new thing they have is something called My Meter, where businesses can log in and see their live energy consumption. So that's kind of cool and a really good feature for people to understand how they're using energy. Okay.
And that's through WPS?
Through WPS.
Right. And
Yes.
is it still in the pilot phase, or is it available to is My Meter available to any industrial customer?
That's a great question. I was at Farm Technology Days last week, and I know the agriculture team just learned about it.
Okay.
Too. So to me, it sounds like that means it should be widely available and farm businesses can log into it. That's my impression. All right, to drive engagement in clean energy and emissions reductions, beyond all those programs, there was some discussion that the city may be able to provide some incentives or carrots for these businesses to engage with. And Alex Galt attended some of those meetings too, and we discussed potentially a recognition program.
Which he's been, investigating and trying to research like really how to do that where it makes sense and how to roll it out and what are the metrics that we're looking at.
Yes, and that was received pretty favorably like,
Mhm.
from this group. And I know Alex was working on residential first and he just started to kind of look into this recognition stuff, so I think maybe more will come from that effort. Updates to building codes, and did you see in the news, the state actually updated?
Finally.
That was big news, actually, because it was very contentious for years if you work in the architectural or energy fields. We had some old codes in this. in the state.
2009.
Yes. So.
I was a little bit surprised actually, that was really favorable in this group, that even the city would have more stringent building codes, to support the, clean energy plan.
Mhm.
It sounded like, I mean, these were representatives, but
Right.
there was an appetite for that, for what it's worth.
Mhm.
I think WPS might have even suggested it.
Mhm.
Yes, and I mean, that's kind of like the overall theme, their feedback was, we like these ideas. And we can help you with them, but we need a little more or I don't know if initiative's the right word, but the programs to come from
From the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then tools and resources, I don't think I need to go through all of those. The city's, I think a good point to make is the city's largest energy users, which make up a very significant part of that non-residential energy use, the largest,
Yeah.
okay? So they're already, you know, we have an Energy Star paper mill in the city. I mean, a lot of these big energy users are already utilizing these energy saving programs and all these resources. So the focus of our efforts, I think if something does come from the city, should focus on those small and medium energy users, and good pitch to the Industrial Assessment Center to help.
And that was widely agreed upon with this group, that it's really small to mid-sized entities that need the most support. And specifically, know-how and financial support, right?
Mhm.
I think that was, we kind of heard that over and over again. The biggest barrier is not knowing what to do, not having the time to figure it out,
Right.
and not having time to actually access what's already available,
Mhm.
let alone, you know, really use it to improve efficiency and improve their business.
Yeah, I think they talked about, you know, not only like funding is definitely the biggest barrier, but they also talked about like not every one of these, especially small, medium-sized businesses has staff,
Mhm.
you know, or capacity
Mhm.
to do this kind of thing too. So that might be something to think about, just the support. Maybe even financially might help. Okay, and then
And I'll stick my nose in here to
please
say,
do.
the organization that I work with in my day job has a grant request out to do some of this in the city of Green Bay. So both having like a toolkit for commercial and industrial users, and then a cohort to kind of provide hands-on support as well. So I think more to come on that one as well.
And then how about a picture to kind of wrap this up? See, there's a pie chart. I think that, that's always nice to look at graphics. So we can see where where is this carbon emissions coming from? A lot of it's coming from electricity, but a significant portion of natural gas as well. You know, if you look at it from an energy standpoint, actually more BTUs of natural gas are consumed by the C&I
Mhm.
businesses in our city. And it's just that more carbon comes from the generation of electricity. So I just want to emphasize, like, if we trim natural gas, that would be wonderful because there's so much of it, an aggregate or BTU basis. But when it comes to carbon emissions, most of them are coming from electricity. So that helps us maybe focus on some ideas on how to reduce energy. You know, if it's electric, it might have a bigger impact. But on the electric side, let's not forget, natural gas will be important because on the electric side, WEC or WPS is already greening the grid. They have a goal to do that. That hasn't changed as far as I know. There's been a lot of changes and things lately, but
Yeah.
their plan is, well, and the state is mandated to have all electric production be carbon free by 2050. So thinking about these resources, maybe natural gas would be a good focus, and because that's not going to be on a green grid resource. So just want to make that point, and that is almost everything. The resources shared are listed as well, the resources shared during the meetings, which I think I already kind of went through, except for the solar group buy, which is available not only to businesses, but all of us. And I think you guys
Yes.
sign up by September for that.
Yes, and at the latest update on the solar group buy is that there's different tiers. So if they sell so many KW, then you get to that next price break, they've achieved that first tier. So that means they've sold or they have contracts, you know, with everyone in like either Brown County, Allegheny, or Winnebago County, I believe are the counties as part of that. So they just announced that a couple days ago. So it's good.
That is good. I think there should be a push. Oh,
Thank you.
Waiting to like knock
Bit
or
in
something.
yourself.
yeah, that doorbell.
Oh,
With the solar group buy, I also wanted to mention that it's a really great price per watt with the flat rate, and it must have gone even lower with that tier. And also don't forget with the changes in the federal government, the tax credit will go away for residential installations. That's 30% back if you don't install it by the end of the year. So just a good time for solar in the city.
Will that solar group buy meet the end of the year deadline?
Well, that's why they want everybody signed on by September, so they have time to get everything installed. And they've already been doing installations, so I think they're trying to get them installed and constructed and online as fast as they possibly can. I had an assessment done at my home, and you know, we're just kind of waiting. We need to make a decision very quickly.
It's an investment, that's for sure,
Mhm.
even with the incentives.
Right.
Okay, well, do you have anything else to add, Christoph?
No, I would only reiterate, electrification. Probably at this point, honestly, the biggest benefit for commercial and industrial users to pursue electrification is cost, right? Like electricity is gonna get more expensive. It's probably gonna be carbon neutral by 2050 anyway. That doesn't make it less valuable to pursue things like energy efficiency. So energy efficiency is a great message. That's a winning message across the board, up and down. It wins with the utility, it wins with folks on energy, it wins with businesses. Like
Right.
efficiency equals cost savings, and that's only gonna become more valuable. I think tackling natural gas emissions is probably gonna be the stickiest part of actually achieving the goals of the clean energy plan, particularly in the commercial and industrial sector, because businesses are still installing natural gas equipment, right? And so that is gonna be equipment in use for the next 50 years. So at this point, we're looking at, okay, we need an alternative to natural gas that's gonna run in that equipment, right? So like in terms of like very practical, how do we move forward on this? Thinking about natural gas alternatives is probably one of the highest impact things we can do that's not just already gonna happen or already being addressed. And then funding, right? That was like the big takeaway is like, we've already got some resources here, but the people who, users who aren't already taking advantage, funding is probably their barrier.
Right.
So if there's any opportunity for grant funding, I think there are organizations even represented here who would be collaborators in that. There's definitely an appetite for it. But I know grant funding is only getting harder to come by, so
Right.
I guess take that for what it is. But it seems like the appetite is there. The barriers aren't convincing folks to do it. The barriers are equipping them to do it.
Thank you for mentioning the natural gas, especially. Yeah, but overall, it's a really nice roundtable, I think would be able to easily engage again.
Yeah.
So they are interested in continuing to meet?
We at this point kind of put that on pause with this
Okay.
effort, just saying, you know, we've met a few times.
Sure.
You know, honestly, the last meeting had the lowest attendance of them all, and I think they were kind of looking to, oh, what are we promoting?
Yeah.
You know, what we'd love to help, but we're not sure what else to do besides these programs we're already promoting. So again, they're kind of looking for something from the city that they could help with.
Okay.
So I think even, you know, if Alex gets retained and gets to be working in this space, if his position is funded longer term, I think the appetite would be there to work with the city.
Mhm.
I think we can re-engage this group. They've expressed that they're open to it and they're willing to partner with the
Would they
city.
be willing to put some money up to keep his position going?
My guess is that's a hard sell, but I think it's always worth an ask.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think the money, you know, money being the barrier and no one said.
I'm
"Hey,
talking like
we don't."
WPS here.
Yeah,
You know, I'm talking like partners that were at the table.
not the partners that were at the table, probably wouldn't be the right partners.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put on my hat of like how I think they might think, and my guess is that they would say we already fund focus on energy.
Yeah.
Or they have a foundation. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've approached them to the foundation for, you know,
Okay.
and they said they don't do favorites. They don't. So I approached them when we were applying for the Office of Energy Innovation Grant for our clean energy plan to see if they would be willing to just contribute a few $1,000s, maybe like for a match. Very, very small amount, you know, in the big picture of the cost of the whole project. And that was the response, was that they can't do that because that would show favoritism towards a municipality. But they do this for schools, they do this for the colleges. So that, I'm just saying, like, that's that was what I was met with.
Okay. Yeah, if I think of any ideas,
Mhm.
we look into nonprofits or organizations, you probably have your finger on the pulse of that.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
nothing comes to mind, but that group, yeah, I can't say that
Sure,
they'd be super excited to pony the money easily. but-
right, right.
Okay.
We might be doing another regional ESG event with New North in the spring.
Okay.
So again, you know, just opportunities to draw in that crowd, align with this work. Yeah, I think the appetite is there to do the work.
Can I just jump in on something Krista mentioned?
Yeah.
So you brought up the natural gas question, and that definitely is something that is discussed a lot in our area with heating and cooling needs, and what what can replace natural gas. And I think some developments like just this year that are kind of heartening, I would say, like are over at Nature's Way and at Star Elementary in the Green Bay Public Schools, where large geothermal projects are going in, because probably, in our area, the most economic way to reduce uh, our use of natural gas would be to pursue more geothermal projects. Because obviously we've got solar, the ability to do that for our electricity and wind, but yeah, tackling that natural gas is a big one. But hopefully we'll see some more of these these geothermal, and then who knows, I think we're all waiting for new technology still to come down the line to address some of that reliance on gas. So
Yeah, great point. And I think it's an important distinction that there's kind of two paths, right? So there's point of construction improvements, which is where geothermal tends to be applied. And then there's retrofit. And I think there are more resources around point of construction than retrofitting for natural gas. And I think this is where, you know, I don't know what the appetite at the city level is for regulation of in any form. But at this point, if we want to get ahead of that and help prevent installation of new equipment that's gonna have a long-term, negative greenhouse gas impact, it's likely gonna be like building code stuff at the point of construction. And then funding and for retrofits, like those are the paths right now. What does that look like? What are the resources actually? That's the challenge. But I think, yeah, great point that at the point of construction, there's some really good opportunities, and I think we should keep promoting those existing solutions. Not go further in the hole on natural gas.
Yeah, I mean, there are green gas, like landfill, anaerobic digesters. I mean, some of that stuff is controversial. I think the new Brown County, there's gonna be some gas tipping into the pipeline, as part of an effort there with the new landfill upgrade. But when I've talked to natural gas procurement folks about buying green natural gas, like, because they just put it in a boiler, a lot of these schools have boilers that still have 10-15 year life. Can we start to decarbonize by buying green gas? Or, maybe it's just not feasible to put in geothermal in some locations to retrofit. The retrofitting is an issue. But the natural green gas, it is available through large scale wholesale gas providers at a cost that, I mean, if they might be paying like $2 per, million BTU now, and they'd have to pay like literally $30.
Oh, wow.
The cost is quite
A jump.
jump. Yes, so just want to throw that in there.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. The natural gas part's a challenge.
But I think the good thing is that we know what is gonna make the biggest impact, right? Can we do that? I don't know. But we know what it is, and so we can be clear-eyed about the problem, if nothing else, or the challenge. It's not really a problem, the challenge. And then we do what we can with that, right? For me, that was a really valuable takeaway from this work.
And they're all informed of it too, as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
Kind of their first real understanding and deep understanding of it from meeting a few times.
Mhm. All right, any other discussion, questions, feedback? Input onto these documents or this report?
No, I thank you for all your work on it.
Yeah.
On the roundtable and the organizing and gathering everyone together. I was able to make it to one of the meetings and Alex went to, I think, the others, so. It's more information that we can work with.
And thanks to WTC for hosting us too.
Mhm. All right, I think we need to, I'll move that we receive this and place it on file.
We'll second that.
Let me find that motion in my. In here, that was Krista initiating that,
Mm-hmm.
and who seconded?
Obviously.
And did you vote?
Nope, I was waiting for you. Any discussion on documents or before we receive and place on file? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So filed. All right, excellent. Next up, we have, I think, Melissa, your update
Yeah.
Getting back to this, okay, staff report, yep.
Okay, there's two staff reports in your packet, one from me and one from Alex. I'm not going to read Alex's report, so if there is any discussion, we can save that. And then as far as my update, the East River flood warning system, planning update. So the group has met, I believe, 3 times now, over the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. And the group is consisting of members of the East River Collaborative, USGS. There's a handful of jurisdictions along the East River that have been part of the discussion, National Weather Service and Brown County Emergency Management, and I might be missing a couple. But basically, what we need to happen is we need 3 stream gauges on the East River. We have one on Baird Street. We have one on County ZZ, which is further up in the watershed, I believe near Wrightstown. And then the third one that we don't have, which would be a brand new gauge to be installed, would be at Hoffman Road in Alloway. So right now we have the one on Irwin, or the one on Baird Street is due to, the funding is running out. And so at the end of September, it will still be in place, but it will not be operational. Because there is no funding right now, funding source identified for that. It's being paid through a grant right now. And so I've got the costs in the memo here to you. Fire Chief of Operations, Ray Putin, and myself have been the ones representing the city at these meetings. USGS is being very flexible as far as how they could do a contract with either the city or with Brown County or with, various jurisdictions. The goal really is to have all of the local jurisdictions and the county have a consortium and have everyone contribute to the cost for installing a new gauge and for the upkeep costs on the existing gauges, because they have to be kept up by USGS. There's water quality monitoring potential also at these gauges, not just water flow and height, but also new water is interested in potentially becoming a partner in that as well for the water quality aspects. So the next steps will include hopefully Brown County organizing the next meeting, and it would really be for decision makers to attend. Since we're at the point now where we need commitments on how to fund the Baird Street gauge and get a new gauge on Hoffman Road installed. The one on ZZ, we have the funding for that is secure for the time being, so that's not really a part of the discussion at this point. So, and then once we have 3 gauges in place, we need about 5 years of data. It can be calibrated with fewer years of data, but that's ideal to be able to calibrate a flood model, so that a warning system can then be put into place based on the data that we're collecting. And as far as how a flood warning system would actually operate, that's all to be determined, whether that would be through cell phone alerts, multiple ways, maybe, tying in with our existing code red system. But the main reason is to get first responders more advanced notice so that people can be evacuated if necessary, even to the point of saying, don't go down this street is flooded. Before they even get to that point of, oh, now I see the barricades, now I have to turn around. Or you see how that could, really help with traffic flow in a city when you have an emergency type situation. So those are the kinds of big picture things that we're hoping we can integrate with a flood warning system. And USGS has a lot of experience in this area, not just with stream gauging, but with integrating geofencing alerts to go to people's cell phones to alert them. They've been doing this in Madison on a pilot basis. So the second part of my update was the bill impacts to our clean energy plan. So the one big beautiful bill AKA the reconciliation bill. And I just put in very, very short update on this, but solar projects, I'm making this more pertinent to the city's projects. Solar projects should begin ideally before December 31st, at the end of this year for the projects that were included in this year's budget. To be able to secure the full 30% elective pay credit. And then the EV purchases, the police department already did that, so that's not a worry, but just applying for those credits so that the city can get the money back on those as soon as we can. Commercial EV credits will end September 30th of this year. So end of September. And EV charging credits they have to be in service by till June 30th, 2026 to be able to get credits. And then there's going to be, starting next year, there still will be elective pay credits for local governments, but there are very, very strict supply chain restrictions that will be in place. It's called like a foreign entities clause, which will make it more difficult for sourcing equipment. And we'll have to be very specific for when we request bids for that type of equipment. The residential, we already touched on this, but the residential credits for EVs, efficiency and solar will all end between September and December of this year. The good news is that credits, the tax credits for geothermal and battery storage remain in place through 2033. And then they'll phase out gradually after that. So it doesn't mean that we abandon everything in our clean energy plan, but I do think we look more seriously at geothermal. And Alex has been reworking some of our the paybacks, the ROI data that we have in our clean energy plan to see what that looks like with and without tax credits, or even like, maybe if it's a 15% tax credit, depending on, how the timing and how things shake out with certain projects. If they carry into next year, how that might look. So that we have better data for the decision making, decisions that are being made. And then, there's a handout in here about the flood warning system, so you can look through that. And then Alex has the updates here on the outreach and engagement that's been happening. He's been doing a great job. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions on any of those, or discussion?
I have to say, when I was at the it's not called Art Street, Art Fest
Yeah,
downtown.
yeah,
The cyanotype
yes,
activity that Alex streamed up was
a hit,
a hit and really cool.
yeah,
Just wanna
it was
say
great.
that.
He's
It was a great way to
extremely
promote
creative.
solar, yeah.
Yes.
It was a great way to promote solar. My family, my kids made them and they're on my fridge.
Mhm. Yes, we had a check-in today and he's created a little board game.
Another brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's so creative.
Game of
He is so creative,
clean
like,
energy
How to
plan here.
engage kids and even adults, and just like when you're at a tabling event, you need something to really engage people besides pamphlets. So he started he has a slow mini board game. It's
Cool.
awesome.
Sell it, bro.
So I'll bring it to the next sustainability commission meeting.
Nice, we can have
Because it's still in like the
Post-production.
prototype phase, I think, right now. So it's not like
we'll have to
ready.
cut out of pieces of paper.
Yeah, it is. It's not ready. It's not ready for the road yet. But
Maybe it'll be super successful and then we can use sales of it to fund his position.
Yes. Well, or he can use sales to fund not working and
taking-
volunteering.
We're taking his intellectual
I'm
property.
gonna say I think maybe to patent it, but it's all property of the city of Green Bay
Yeah.
right now, so.
Intellectual property while he's employed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for the update.
Mhm.
Good.
Do Do you want to receive that one?
Yes, yes, we do both. Or do they come together?
Yeah, you can
We say staff updates,
staff reports.
staff reports.
I make that motion.
We have a motion by Alder Presley. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second by Jen. Any discussion on these documents? All in favor of placing them on file?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? So filed. Excellent. I keep opening all these things up and then I gotta get back to my agenda. All right. Oh gosh, guys, this is it. Our next meeting is September 17th. Which is that one a Thursday? I feel like we had a Thursday.
I think it is.
Nope, that one's a Wednesday.
Oh,
Maybe October is this Thursday. Then same time, same place. Am I missing any motions to my Robert's Rules of Order?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yep, is that the last one?
Yeah,
All right, would you like to
make
make?
that motion.
he's gonna be on every one.
Oh.
Who wants to second it?
Second.
Yes. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of wrapping this baby up? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks for your participation. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy back to school, Ned.
Thanks.
Thank you, Krista.
Yeah. See you in a few